thank you all for being here. I wish I could dance like that. I can't, but I think that I can sometimes. Although coming out Muslim sometimes, for me, was initially felt like an unlikely match to be on the stage because we are a show, a storytelling performance show about the experiences of queer Muslims, asserting that yes, we exist. I was thinking about it, and maybe it is the perfect fit. Because it's about sharing in the resilience of people. And so tonight I join here on the stage as one half of Coming Out Muslim, as an Afghan sister in solidarity to the Filipinos and to the people of the Philippines whose people and their land are occupied and continue to resist. And so as an Afghan and as a queer Muslim, our spirits are bound in that air of resistance. So I'm going to do just two pieces. The first one is about henna. So if folks, and I like that we're in the school at the International High School at Prospect Heights, because tradition and culture run so deep. For me, tradition is so unique because we carry them with us no matter where our feet land, no matter where exile transfers us. And so for me, henna is that very particular tradition that I admire in my family. August 31st, 2011. It feels like a rite of passage even after puberty has run its course when I walk into the Arab store on Atlantic Avenue and I buy $1.44's worth of the powdered henna. That night, pouring hot water and making mud in a bowl, I let it sit until bedtime. And these are the familiar rituals that inherited memory makes possible for us. The next day I text Tina and tell her that my insides are equally bright and orange. The henna that stains our hands bonds us. July 12th, 1981. My parents' wedding day. Before me, there was the excitement of engagements, parties, and weddings. You prepared to leave my grandfather's house to start your own. The shimmery fabric that ties around your palm is a bright smile. Even if you don't, you can't, you want to, but won't. February 9th, 1997. Zarina, do you remember the time you ate the muddy henna batter because you thought it was brownie mix? And that night we sleep, sweaty palmed, gloves made of crinkly garbage bags to protect our hands and our sheets on a shared mattress. January 19, 1999. The earthy smell stays on our hands for days, and it swirls and makes a paisley shape. And no one at school asks to share our pencils in class, because the white kids are grossed out by the souvenirs of our celebrations. The henna that stains our hands, bonds us, stains us. Imposed shame ties our experiences together. April 16, 1991. Our parents proudly pool their pennies and dollars and build a home of their own in Flushing. In a land that is not theirs, they remind us, it's yours. You were born here. And later the kids on the block laugh at us, and Vinny calls us dirty Hindus. And I hope to God that none of the neighbors see that my grandmother has orange toenails because of the henna she puts on her feet. This American dream is a shaky balance. March 25th, 1993. I am proud when our class substitute teacher, Mrs. Viola, asks me about what's on my hands. So you're Muslim? Yes, I say proudly. And the ill-disguised look of judgment on her face pins my 11-year-old heart with an anchor, and it falls into my stomach. I'm guilty, but I don't know where I went wrong. February 21, 1996. Pop culture is my new social currency. We learn the power of storytelling and clever marketing. You know, it's like the stuff when Stefani has on her hands. Yeah, the Mendi, that's henna. And in March 1998, Madonna's culturally appropriating ray of light phase is a godsend. Thank you, Allah. October 25th, 2006. Bibi John, my grandmother, is back on her way home to be buried in Mughal in Afghanistan, and it's only day one of forever without her, and so we don't soak any henna that year. And on December 6th, 2013, I am reminded that it's not always the henna that bonds us. It fades and your nails wear out. That it must be the bonds of blood and justice and love that bind us here tonight. The last thing I will do is something called homesick. When I think about watching your people that can be your family or your country or your culture be put under a microscope on big TV screens during times of conflict, war, or natural disaster, whether they live here or they're elsewhere, homesickness is pretty familiar to me these days. And although this might seem out of context, follow along if you will. My mother describes the 15th day of Ramadan this last year, the midpoint of the holy month, as a mountain. She tells me today feels like a mountain. She describes it over the phone the day after I returned to Brooklyn after visiting them for a weekend. Coming off a mountain is the best way that I can ever describe being with them. It's clumsy and there's unsure footing, and your heart is racing because what if your feet go faster than you want them to? And I sound very wistful and emotional most of the times when I describe this, and I'm pretty sure I do, but sometimes it's hard to untangle the emotions, but it's not always that loving and tender. Let me describe to you leaving them on a Sunday. I leave in a huff because it's the most frustrating moment of the entire weekend. I don't know if your mom does this. Picture my mother stuffing my bags full of miscellaneous things. Garbage bags, industrial-sized garbage bags. She leaves me with toilet paper, tomato sauce, tuna, fashion magazines that are outdated, coffee packets, creamer, honey packets, and those ice packets that drip weird chemicals that you're not supposed to eat, but somehow they keep your food safe and cold. And in the process, I always leave something behind, and we're huffing and we're puffing. But the truth is, the frustration is never about the things or the bags that are stuffed with random things. It's about the sadness of leaving one another. It's about the moment you realize you'll never be whole again until you return, months later, or days later. The best way I can describe this heart-wrenching and simultaneously freeing and excited dread is homesick. And the frustration of homesickness is missing a gap that only tears can bridge an empty feeling. And so if that is the hardest day, if it feels like a mountain, a hump, then maybe it gets better. Or maybe I just have to ask Dan Savage to shut the fuck up. I'm going to fast forward here, but in these memories that we have, that we live in, that we hoard when we're visiting, it makes me really sad because we look back at these memories on TV screens or wherever those memories were put in front of us, and we ask ourselves, were things so wonderful seeming way back when? I know they weren't, we know they weren't, we know what our realities hold, but nostalgia can make the past so beautiful. And so I look back at these memories, at henna, and I feel that where I am in the present is heavy and hard, and the present has frustrations and huffs and puffs. And in the present we want it to be different, to be better, but the present will one day be the past. And we would look back and think, wow, those days were just so awesome. And I just want somehow for each of us to know The present is a wonderful memory, even in its hardest moments, even when today feels like a mountain. Thank you.